How to make your husband quit his bad habits. Whether it's your husband smoking or nail biting, you do have influence over his bad habits. Helping him tackle them bit by bit and being his cheerleader will go a long way in helping him move on. Though it's impossible to expect change overnight, you can get the ball rolling. Hey Race, how? Part 1, Bringing it up. 1. Address the habit. How many times have you found yourself playing with your hair or fidgeting without even knowing it? It's possible that your husband's bad habit is just as subconscious. Let him know that it bothers you. Does he even know he's doing it? Of course, certain habits are more delicate than others. But you two are married, for Pete's sake. If you feel uncomfortable bringing it up with him, who would you feel comfortable talking about it with? As long as you're calm and gentle about it, he shouldn't get offended. A simple, "Hon, do you realize when you're chewing on your nails? It bothers me," will get the conversation going. Show him the side effects of his bad habit and why you are asking him to quit it. Tell him how it's affecting your life and what result it will bring in the future. He may need a bit of convincing. 2. Identify the triggers and patterns. Bad habits don't just present themselves for no reason. Usually they're the result of either boredom or stress. Does your husband smoke like a chimney after work? Crack his knuckles during TV? Get to the why behind the habit. It's the only way you can really get it to stop. If he claims not to know, you'll have to be super observant. Watch him at different times of the day, while he's doing different activities, and when he's displaying different types of emotion. What seems to be the reason for his habit? 3. Be compassionate and empathetic. We all have bad habits. Show him you understand how hard it is to break one and that you're not expecting a miracle overnight. Especially if it's something like eating less or working out, that stuff is tough. Don't make him feel like a child. The last thing your husband wants is to feel emasculated. Nagging won't get you anywhere. If anything, it'll get him riled up and more stubborn in his ways. Make sure it's a conversation and that both of you are listening. Part 2, Convincing him. 1. Show him that it's bad for him. They don't call it a bad habit for nothing. He probably knows it's bad for him, but you may need to point it out anyway. Whether the reasons are health, well-being, or simply aesthetic, make the reasons very clear. Sometimes we humans need to be kindly ushered out of denial, you know? Steer clear of being too judgmental about it. Your good intentions won't get you anywhere if you go the, "Ugh, but smoking will kill you" route. Instead, show that you're being logical and level-headed. You know how terrible smoking is and the ill effects it has on your body and the people around you. Is much harder to get angry at. 2. Show him that it's bad for you. As much as he knows it's bad for him, he may not realize how much of an effect it has on you. Let him know how it affects your health, your energy, or just your well-being or mood. It's possible he doesn't know how much it bothers you or is negatively affecting your life. Especially if you've been too nice about it. Be honest. It's easy to say, "Your nail biting ruins my life." But you don't actually mean it. When you bite your nails so much, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's a really uncomfortable feeling. To top it off, you say yourself that it hurts. Is something he'd be more likely to respond to. 3. Show him how life would be better if the habit were broken. You'd be in a better mood, that's for sure. And since you could start working to a reward, there's double the reason to kick the habit. The negatives might work for him, the positives might work for him, but if you can, show him both. Part 3, Initiating change. 1. Replace it with something else. Old habits don't just go away, they need to be replaced. So if you're on him to eat less, start by swapping out dessert for fruit. If you're on him to not crack his knuckles, offer him other things to keep his hands busy. He'll feel less deprived and angsty. Generally, you want to keep it in the same family. Instead of cracking his knuckles, he can clench his fists. Instead of jigging his leg, tense it up. Instead of a bag of potato chips, baby carrots. That way it'll be less stark of a contrast. 2. Ask him what you can do to help, or do it with him. He needs to know you're on his side and that you're willing to make sacrifices, too. If you can do it with him, all the better. It'll be more motivation. Have you ever done your workout routine without your buddy? Eesh. The companionship will keep it positive, but also keep the pressure on. Ask him if there's something you could do so you could break a habit together. Maybe he needs to eat more healthy, but you need to kick the chocolate. For every stride he makes, you'll match it. 3. Help him do one thing at a time. It's impossible to demand that your husband quit smoking today, that he go out and run a 10K, that he drop his lifestyle and automatically pick up a new one. That's not how it works. Let him know that you'd be happy with one less cigarette right now, that snack after dinner could be an apple instead of a cookie, that he can crack his knuckles before bed if he really wants to. Let him ease into it. When the mountain looks too high to climb, we give up. Start from the go with baby steps. Momentum will build from there. When he's okay with fewer cigarettes, with fewer calories, push him to go a bit further. One step at a time. 4. Make a grand gesture. It's easy to say, yeah, I'll stop drinking diet due tomorrow, and then you run into the 24-pack in the fridge. Start with a boom, throw the 24-pack out. With him, of course. And be sure to be positive about it. This is the beginning of change. It sort of officially marks the beginning of a new path. Without it, it's easy to forget about, really. Have you ever gone to bed, resolving to start your diet tomorrow, and then you remember the next day when there's a chip in your mouth? Don't let that happen. Part 4. Keeping him on track. 1. Hold him accountable. Ask him about his progress. Watch him when you're home together. Let him know you've got a keen eye on his success, not his failure. With a positive spin, it's just watching him become a better person. What are wives for, anyway? If that's not enough, see if you can casually slip it into his friends or his employees about the habit he's trying to kick. Once they know, he'll feel the pressure not to cave to the temptation. Or you could follow up later. 2. Don't enable or distract him. If you're on him to not be lazy and to eat better, don't sit down on the couch with a bucket of fried chicken, demanding the remote. Rude. You need to be an example, too. It's best if you're consistent at all times. You may want to have a little hanky-panky, you may want to go out to dinner, you may want this or that, but if it interferes, make the sacrifice. Can't have your cake and eat it too. 3. Don't break the chain. Have a calendar hanging up where you two can see. For every day that your husband is successful, make a big red X. After a week or so, he'll have a nice chain going that he probably won't want to break. Having concrete proof of our efforts is more motivating than just knowing it ourselves. Try to go for 60 days. That 21-day stuff? That's crap. He'll probably need about 2 months before it really sinks in. However, it depends on the habit. If you want him to drink more water, it'll be no problem. If you want him to become a mountain climber, well, that's a different story. 4. Talk about rewards. All this hard work better pay off. Sit down with him and discuss what he'd like for a reward. As long as it isn't an hour of smoking, cracking my knuckles, shoving pie in my face, or whatever the habit is, good. He's deserved it. 60 days is a long time. Feel free to dangle smaller rewards in his face at certain checkpoints. Maybe every 2 weeks? Write that down on the calendar too. Tips. Patience is a virtue. Ask yourself if you're willing to make a compromise or to let it go. He is human, after all. Warnings. Never force him. It can put your relationship in trouble. Don't insult him for his bad habits in front of others.